have a look in about 3 parts. The first part is what losing your sparkle looks like. 2, why it happens. And 3, how to reignite that spark again. And I think it's also important to recognize that it's a bit like this, isn't it? Like it's just like on a growth journey or a healing journey. You're like, I've got it, and you're sailing, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a punch in the face, and you're like, hold on a minute, there's something not quite right here. And you have like a bit of a dip, and then you recover stronger. I think
that's it.
any kind of your life is a journey, isn't it? And I think even when you're doing all the right things, you can have those moments where you're like, is this actually what I want to be doing? And
it's giving people what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's letting them know it's possible. Yeah. For the likes of you and me, we're using our own experiences to help guide others, to show them that there is a way out. And I think that alone is enough to motivate someone to do the healing. Is to see the proof. And myself and yourself, we're actually proof that it's possible to come out of that darkness.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so we always start with a quote. And this week's quote is, your sparkle isn't gone. It's just buried under the weight of so much should and not enough soul.
Yeah, sometimes we can lose our joy of life and forget what direction we're going in and don't see a way forward. But we all have something special within us, and it's just a matter of finding that again.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to have a look in about 3 parts. The first part is what losing your sparkle looks like. 2, why it happens. And 3, how to reignite that spark again. So, to start off, really, it's to say that it's quite common to have those feelings, isn't it? I know myself, I got to a point in my life where I definitely lost my sparkle. I was very much just going through the motions. And I just want you to know that you can get it back. And when you're doing those things, when you're knowing that you can get your sparkle back, and you're searching and doing that introspection and taking action, that actually it can change very, very quickly, can't it?
Yeah, like in fairness, for me personally as well, I've had many times in my life where I've lost myself, lost who I was, lost all ambition, mainly due to narcissistic relationships. But the most recent for me was toxic family dynamics, and you can actually literally go to 0 or below 0, where you actually don't see a light at the end of the tunnel anymore, and you fear there'll never be a light again. But with that deep healing and introspection and making the right decisions for you, you can actually find a light that is brighter than any light that you'd ever imagine. So there is a chance to come out of that darkness. There really is.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to recognize that it's a bit like this, isn't it? Like it's just like on a growth journey or a healing journey. You're like, I've got it, and you're sailing, and then all of a sudden, like, there's a punch in the face, and you're like, hold on a minute, there's something not quite right here. And you have like a bit of a dip, and then you recover stronger. I think
that's it.
any kind of your life is a journey, isn't it? And I think even when you're doing all the right things, you can have those moments where you're like, is this actually what I want to be doing? And it's good to ask yourself those questions, because it's okay to change your mind as well, isn't it? It's okay. I'm not saying give up on your dreams quickly at the first obstacle. Like, you need to think about why you're making that direction. Is it out of fear, or is it because you've got another direction? It's not getting rid of the direction, it's being sparked by perhaps one that has more draw to it.
That's it. Your dreams can change as you evolve. Like, so we can get you started. If we've got this dream and this goal, and it sets our soul on fire, we're excited for it, we've got passion for it, but something can intervene and actually knock all of that away. And we think then we're a failure, or we think, I've lost direction now, I don't feel the same passion I did for that before. But you're after evolving and you're after changing with whatever you went through. And it's just a redirection to maybe a different passion. So it's okay to change your mind, and it's okay to follow a different route.
Yeah, and actually it might not be the passion that's the problem. It might be a lack of balance. Mm-hmm. So it might be that you've dropped everything to follow this thing and then neglected other areas of your life, and I actually we were doing like a coaching thing on Tuesday, where we've got like a group of coaches and we all practice different techniques, and we were practicing what is essentially a parts integration, where basically when someone is in conflict with internal conflict, you can bring that into unity to help them overcome it. And when I was working with somebody, I've since realized that I was actually looking at a mirror of my situation. So I had a bit of an epiphany, because I am following my passion, but I'm sometimes I think I'm neglecting the other things. I get super hyper focused on something, and then I'm not giving enough time to other things sometimes. And sometimes it's that little wake up call, have another think, have a reassess, get it right, or better, and see how that goes, But even no matter where you are, even when you feel you've got passion, sometimes you can make adjustments because they're required. Yeah.
It's all about trusting your inner guidance. The one thing I do know after finding my purpose path is that you can't fail, and it will carry you along. It pulls you forward.
Yeah.
So it's the right thing, because it might be hard work, but it's also effortless at the same time. It just feels right. And when it feels right, that's when it's right for you. So trust that guidance system, where if it does feel good for you, if it feels right for you, if it makes you happy, then just follow it and see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've lost your sparkle, you probably in some areas of your life, or all the time, feeling a bit of apathy, like you're going through the motions, but you've lost your drive to do those things. You're doing them out of duty or out of routine, but it feels a bit monotonous, and like you're having to force yourself to go through the motions. You might feel disconnected. So you might feel, even when you're maybe having time to connect with those people that you care about, that somehow the real connection's not there. You're not fully present. You might be, in your own head worrying about the next thing you've got to do, or that list that you haven't finished, or thinking through your next day at work or in school, that meeting you've got to go to.
Sometimes we can actually disconnect from ourselves, and that happens to me as well. When I mentioned, was I disconnected not only from the world, from my passions at that time, but also from myself. I just lost all sense of who I was, all sense of what I wanted, and I actually lost hope in thinking that there wasn't going to be a way out of that. But in making the right decisions for me at the time, there were hard decisions to walk away from certain dynamics and to choose my healing and choose myself. I was redirected onto another path, and that's when I found coaching, which just surprised me, because initially, before my breakdowns and my relapse, I thought DJing and music was my purpose. But then when everything went shit, really, I was so shocked to find that coaching was my purpose. But then I was not surprised either. You know what I mean? So it's in those darkest of times that you can be actually really surprised. You might be disconnected from yourself, but something will connect you back to your source. Yeah. And you'll realize something you've never actually thought of before. And it can actually be quite enlightening or magical to discover something that you never even thought was possible.
Yeah, and it's having... So I was the same with coaching, I didn't even know what it was when I fell down the coaching rabbit hole. You know, I thought coaching was, you know, like sports coaching. That was what I thought coaching was. Yeah, and then I was like, oh my God, you know, when I fell down and I was like immersed in it, I was like, oh my God, this is so perfect. Yeah. So sometimes you can be guided into places that you wouldn't have looked, and surprise yourself, you know.
And that's it. And you can
So
actually,
having an openness, isn't it?
yeah, it's you can turn it. Like I was in the deepest, darkest depths of it when I discovered a live event with Matthew McConaughey, Dean Graziosi, there was Trent Shelton, there was others, and it was Tony Robbins. And I never watched live events. I was like, this is not for me. But I was in my lowest of lows, and because I liked Matthew McConaughey, I started looking at it. I ended up watching it solidly for 4 hours, and I was like, you know, at this stage, I still didn't even know I had any passion left. I was so disconnected. And I was watching Trent Shelton, and he was getting emotional, and I just could feel his body language. And I was like, oh my God, you know, that's me. I have passion for helping people. I actually do have passion in my life. It's for helping people. And that's in that moment I realized with their guidance, I can turn my pain into my passion, my pain into my purpose. Yeah. That I didn't go through all of this for nothing. I can help the next person come out of that darkness as well. And that's when I can feel my soul coming alive again. Was when I discovered that coaching is for me. I was like, wow, this is it. This is what this was all for. And that's the most magical moment you'll ever experience, is literally going from zero or below zero to going, wow, I found the reason I'm on this planet.
Yeah, yeah. And the correlation between the strength of your connections and your happiness is just, you know, the science that essentially, you know, if you're not connected, if you don't have connections with people, if you don't have a connection, then that's when people are likely to do things like, you know, abuse drugs and, you know, be depressed, and that isolation, you know. Yeah, so connection is so important, and there's so much connection required to coach someone, isn't there? You know, they're letting you, it's a privilege to be part of their world while they're sorting something out. But you know, they're sorting through their thoughts, and you're a guest there, and it's a beautiful connection, isn't it, to see them shift and improve. Lack of energy can be one. So if you're having enough sleep, even if you're not having enough sleep, but you know, you can't identify sleep as the issue, and you're not eating badly, and you know, you're not got really terrible habits, but yet you have no energy. It could be because you're just going through the motions, aren't you? And so you feel flat. Resentment. Now, I'm somebody who definitely used to live in a lot of resentment. You know, I do things, and this is the funny thing, right? Because I think that the best way to sparkle is in the service of other people, but it's how you view that service of other people. If you view that service as a contract, if you view it as that you're giving this for something return, if you're doing it out of niceness instead of kindness, then you end up with resentment, not fulfillment, don't you?
That's it. Like, you know, sometimes we can overgive to the wrong people, and we're not appreciated for it, and that can actually really drain our energy, and that's what depletes us. And that's that lack of energy. You know what I mean? Being around the wrong people, that's a sign that you know your energy is low. Is that you are with the wrong people. But it's an understanding that when you get, it's weird. Like, we want to give to everyone, but we have to be mindful of our own energy as well. But it is that giving out of your heart, giving unconditionally. That's what's so important, and I think that's what drives us forward, especially as coaches. Is like, our reward is seeing that person get better. It really is.
Yeah, you can share in their achievement because you were part of the journey, weren't you? Yeah. You were like, in a lot of ways, you're just a bystander because you're just asking questions and watching them process it. And we do interventions and things, but a lot of it is giving them the space to think it through themselves, actually. A lot of it, isn't it, and that active listening that's so important.
It's giving people what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's letting them know it's possible. Yeah. For the likes of you and me, we're using our own experiences to help guide others, to show them that there is a way out. Mm-hmm. And I think that alone is enough to motivate someone to do the healing. Is to see the proof. And myself and yourself, we're actually proof that it's possible to come out of that darkness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I know it's in some ways it can feel a little frustrating, because you're like, coaching is so powerful. It really, really is. And I didn't know anything about coaching until I got into it. So then I was like, I just want people to understand, or even if they don't take a coach, like these techniques that we're talking about, they're so powerful. They're so life-changing. And when people are apprehensive to listen, I can feel a little bit of frustration, because I'm like, I just wish you could see I would just wish you knew what I knew. Yeah. And I guess that frustration is a little bit with myself, because I was definitely one of those people that go, mindset's not for me, Or if I suggested, if somebody suggested to me, improve your mindset, be more resilient, and things will get better at work. I'm like, well, don't you know why things are bad at work? It's because of this, and it's because of that, and it's because of the other. It's not because of me. And I'm not saying it's because of a person, the individual person, that the situation is terrible, but that your relationship with the situation has so much power in how you are able to navigate that. If you're crushed by a situation and it's one you need to get out of, then you're powerless to get out of it, and actually sometimes you might find that actually it's subconscious beliefs and your filter that is making you view it a certain way, and actually it's not exactly how, or it doesn't have to be viewed the way that you're viewing it. Yeah. So I guess, often frustration is because there's something in yourself or your past that it stirs up. And I know I was definitely one of those people that go, no, what they need to sort the system out. The system needs to be sorted out. I don't need to sort me out. It's funny, isn't it, how things can change. What I want to say about resentment is, if you're feeling resentful, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are people that you need out of your life as well. I mean, there is situations that are like that, but sometimes we're just resentful because we're giving too much to our own detriment. And that's once again, that's something in our own control, that's why I'm not a fan of niceness, because kindness doesn't throw yourself under the bus to please other people. It's for the good of the act without sacrificing yourself, yeah. And that's why there isn't resentment with kindness, or there shouldn't be. If there is resentment, it's not kindness, it's niceness.
Yeah, what I find with resentment, we think that we're actually resentful towards the other person or the situation, but oftentimes it's actually inner resentment for us putting up with it for so long, or allowing ourselves to be in that, because we do have that responsibility, as you just mentioned. And that resentment actually can be internal, because we're not taking the steps that we need to take in order to take control of our lives.
Yeah, to have a boundary, with your time, with your needs. And once again, that some people in your life may be those people you need to get rid of, but some people that you're overgiving to might not be those people. It might just be because you are not considering your own needs in the transaction. You're not thinking of yourself. You're just so busy pleasing other people that you've forgotten that you're a person too. And then you get resentful because perhaps other people might have their own boundaries and wouldn't throw themselves into the bus for you. And this is not from a place of judgment at all. This was definitely who I was. I would sacrifice myself like some martyr and then feel resentful that I'd done that, but not blame myself. It would be that that, you know, they're ringing me up at whatever time, but you know, I would accept the call, you know. If it was an absolute emergency, obviously I would want somebody to ring me at whatever time, but when it's not really an emergency, but always being available for people, or doing other people's work, helping them with their work before completing your own work, you know, it's insanity, isn't it, really, when you think about it? Yeah, so resentment is definitely a sign of looking at yourself. You need to do looking at yourself, because is it that the people around you are the wrong people? Is it that you don't have boundaries? Is it that you're throwing yourself under the bus? Is it that you're just going through the motions, doing something that you don't actually want to do, that you're doing for someone else? It was someone else's dream that you followed, you know?
Yeah, you're sitting on the sidelines of your own life as you live a life for somebody else, and that is the reason we have resentment. It's because we're missing out on what could potentially be the best opportunity of our lives because we're living somebody else's life for them.
Yeah. And then just joylessness. So joylessness is when things that would have at one time filled you with joy don't anymore, you know. So say you enjoyed, I don't know, playing the guitar, and you go through the motions, but somehow it just doesn't hit the same anymore. Or you used to draw, but you don't get the same kick out of it, so you don't even bother.
For me, it was drinking and partying. You know what I mean? And that was my friend group as well. I saw them as soul family. And, you know, they lit me up. It was my second home. It was like, this is where I belong. This is going to be forever. And it got to the stage where I was standing at the edge of the room, looking at everyone going, this isn't working for me anymore. I don't feel the same way as I used to. And that's heartbreaking. But obviously it was good because I was giving up drinking and all that kind of stuff. But it was heartbreaking because I had to leave those people. And I was just like, I felt so disconnected from them as I started to grow. And it was just like, it was a weird feeling, especially when it comes to people, you know, that you've known for so long, especially friends and family, you know, and you're literally, you just feel this detachment towards these people now, whereas they actually were the ones that filled you with so much joy before. And it's heartbreaking, but that's the kind of the wake up call you need. It's like, if it's not for you anymore, it's okay to move on. It's okay to leave.
Yeah.